Hello again, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar at Grid Resilience in the Peak Saver program. You'll see I had my first error in our image here. It is the Peak Saver program, not the Peak Smart program. We are delighted to be joined today by Elena Pavlova, a program manager from BC Hydro. My name is Mariah. I'll be your host, and I'm the program manager for Retrofit Assist with the Community Energy Association. If you haven't met us before, I'll introduce you to a bit of what we do in a few minutes here. So today's webinar is the third and final webinar in a three-part series. If you're just joining us today for the first time, that's not a problem. We do have recordings of our first two webinars that we'll share with you in our follow-up email. Today's webinar will provide some insights into grid resilience in BC's context, and will then provide an overview of BC Hydro's Peak Saver program and how homeowners like yourselves can get involved. Next slide. So I am joining you from what is now known as Whitehorse, located on the traditional territory of the Kwamandun First Nation and Tonquichan Council. I am truly honored and appreciative to get to call this land my home. We like to begin these sessions by highlighting Indigenous leadership in the built environment space. Akiskanak is a Tunaha community that is near Invermere, BC. Their retrofit journey began in 2008 with the introduction of a Tunaha Nation energy manager that focused on laying the groundwork for future energy planning and sustainability initiatives, and established a comprehensive understanding of community needs and opportunities in energy efficiency. In 2010, an energy and emissions plan was created for Tunaha Nation, creating a framework for reducing energy consumption and emissions within the nation. From 2013 to 2016, the community was introduced to the Engagement with Energy Conservation Assistance Program, or ECAP, to support with retrofitting homes to make them more energy efficient, comfortable, and healthy. In 2017, a series of community workshops and hands-on demonstrations supported increased energy literacy for community members and created opportunities for feedback from community on priorities and needs for housing. This involved a week-long training for community members in partnership with Think Bright Homes in Invermere and funding from BC Hydro. In 2018, community homes received free energy assessments and quick fixes to improve the house's energy efficiency, like draft proofing, air sealing, high efficiency light bulbs, and shower heads. Air filters and pipe insulation were all implemented. Learnings from these assessments and quick fixes identified the next steps, a bundled approach to repairs and retrofits. In 2019, Akiskanak took this bundled approach where they worked to improve the airtightness, insulation, windows and doors, and mechanical systems in these homes. And then in 2020, a significant milestone was reached with the successful retrofitting of 10 elders' homes. This focused on improving the living conditions of elders by making homes more energy efficient and ensuring the homes are more comfortable, healthy, and sustainable for future generations. CEA has had the honor of walking alongside Akiskanak through some of the stages of their retrofit journey. We learned a lot from their story, and from these learnings and others, we continue to walk with other First Nations and settler communities to support similar processes and positive outcomes. Next slide. So across BC, local governments recognize that there's a growing demand for more energy efficient, comfortable, and climate resilient homes, but there's still a gap in the workforce needed to deliver that work. Contractors and builders need access to the right training to meet this demand, and that's where CEA comes in. CEA is a registered charity and nonprofit that works with local governments and Indigenous communities to accelerate action on climate and energy. Since 2017, we've been delivering programming that increases access for the building community and homeowners to educational and informative resources, and supports related to high performance building and home energy retrofits. Next slide. One of the programs that we offer is the Energy Concierge Service, Retrofit Assist. So through this program, we support homeowners in completing their home energy upgrades. This support can include scheduling an EnerGuide evaluation, prioritizing their upgrades, connecting with contractors, reviewing quotes, maximizing rebates, and ensuring they're meeting eligibility requirements, and more. Retrofit Assist is currently offered as a free service in Whistler, Squamish, Kamloops, East Kootenay, Roslyn, and Vernon. And we'll include the link to the website in the chat if you're interested in learning more or potentially applying. Okay, with that, I will introduce you to our presenter for today. Elena Pavlova is a program manager at BC Hydro, currently working on residential demand response initiatives within the Power Smart team, including the Peak Saver program. In her role, Elena focuses on making energy programs easy to join and valuable for customers. She has helped introduce new ways for homeowners to enroll, enhanced incentives and customer rewards, and expanded customer choice. Her work centers on designing offers that balance homeowner needs with the long-term health and reliability of the grid. Elena, thank you in advance for your presentation, and please take it away.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Just first of all, I'd like to thank Mariah and the Community Energy Association for inviting me to speak today about grid resilience and the Peak Saver residential demand response program in particular, and how it affects that and helps the grid to be resilient. Without further ado, I'm just going to move on to my agenda for today. And before I move on, actually, if any of you have a questions, please raise your hand or put in a chat. I don't see the chat, so Mariah or your team, please let me know if there are any questions as I go. So yeah. Moving on. Today I'm going to talk about grid resilience and how demand response in particular affects and helps our grid to be reliable and without any blackouts and etc. Peak Saver is our residential demand response program, and I'm going to talk about the offers that are currently exist for the homeowners. I'm going to show you where we are today in terms of participation, how many participants we have, and what exciting projects we have coming soon. And I'd like to offer you a couple of options. What can you do and how you can help actually grid resilience? So grid resilience and demand response, and you might ask, like, how is it connected? So what's happening today in the world, and actually it's not only in BC, it's across the world in all the jurisdictions and utilities, we're facing a critical peak time challenges. And why it's happening because of the electrification, everywhere in homes, on transportation. And transportation, one of the reasons it's EVs, electrical vehicles, getting more and more on the roads. We have population growth, particularly in BC. We have immigration, and also one of the not issues but challenges, it's also data centers that actively getting built to support our internet needs and what we do online these days. And then, of course, that affects our grid, and it puts a lot of pressure on it. And then what happens is demand response helps spread the electricity when everybody is using it, and reducing stress on the grid and helping keep power in the homes reliable and affordable. And I just want to mention, we don't have a crisis in BC. We're great. We're lucky to have about 97% of our electricity generated through hydro. And it's not about generation, it's about distribution. And demand response helps to distribute that energy when everybody using it at the same time. So we don't we don't have this issue of suddenly, I don't know, losing the light when everybody needs to use it. And demand peaks happens during usually in short periods of very high demand, which I already mentioned. In BC, it's a winter cold evenings between 5 and 9. This is our defined peak. And I would like to show you a video in the next slide and to demonstrate what is demand response and what is energy efficiency, because there are some slight differences in those two approaches. And without further ado, and if there's no questions, I'm going to move on to that video. And I hope it's going to work.
Rising, but it's the peaks, those short period across BC, electricity use is rising, but it's the peaks, those short periods of time of heavy demand that test the limits of our grid. The good news? Simply changing when we use power can make a big difference. Demand response means shifting electricity use away from periods of the highest demand, like during very cold evenings when everyone is using heat. These are temporary adjustments, like running your dishwasher before peak times or delaying charging your company fleet. Demand response is different from energy efficiency, which is about using less power all the time. Think of electricity demand like traffic on a road. You can lower the number of cars on the road. That's energy efficiency. You can also travel at a different time. That's demand response. Both ways, traffic congestion on the road is reduced. Demand response is good for everyone. It can help reduce BC Hydro's need for costly equipment upgrades and ensures we all have access to reliable electricity when we need it most. Demand response is in our hands. Together, we can keep the grid reliable, manage costs, and support a clean energy future for everyone in BC.
Yeah, so just kind of reiterate what was said in the video. Demand response, it's actually event-driven events, I would say. And it only happens on very cold nights versus energy efficiency reduction that changes behavioral and its overall reduction of the usage. And for example, if you buy the dishwasher with energy, what would be like energy with energy low use of energy, that would be your energy efficiency because it overall reduces the consumption. I'm just gonna change to the next slide. Sorry. Here you go. Before I move on, I actually wanted to ask how many of you have heard of PeakSaver and how many of you are already enrolled in the PeakSaver program? And maybe if you can type it in the chat or raise your hand, I'm curious to know how many people on the call right now are on it.
We have a couple of hands raised. I think we have 3 hands raised right now and nothing in the chat yet.
Okay, that's great. That's awesome. Myself, I'm also in the PeakSaver boat, and I'm going to talk about right now the offers that we have on PeakSaver side. And the first path, and also I want to mention that the PeakSaver is our volunteer-based program where the customer is always in control. The first path that the customer can participate in that program, it's a behavioral, or we call it manual or do it yourself. Basically, what you can do is manually shift and reduce your consumptions during the peak events. Example, you can shift or reduce it by using your dishwasher after the event is over. And it is performance-based. And of course, we will reward for you. So as you can see on the slide, you can earn $3 per event by reducing your consumption by 20% of your baseline. And the way the baseline calculated is last 5 days of your consumption with the 3 highest usage the highest with the 3 days highest usage within those 5 days. Basically, yeah, we have about between 15 to 20 events per season. As I mentioned before, we are winter peaking utility, and our events happened between November and March. The event's duration is about 4 hours, and again, it depends on the needs of the grid. We will send you 24-hour notification, and then we send you 1-hour notification so you can plan your evening when the event happens. Our transmission distribution system operators, they call the events when they see the grid in need of it, and that's how we operate our events. Myself, I'm a behavioral participant, and I will talk about it later, how I and what I do, because it's pretty interesting for me, and it's a bit of a like a sport for me and for our family. You know, like, can we reduce it? Did we reduce it, the consumptions? Also, I want to mention that on average, behavioral participant at the end of the season get about $24 back on their bill with their participation. And there are a couple of new initiatives that we launched this year, actually past winter. We introduced the enrollment performance bonus. So, for example, if you participate in a certain number of events, you will get like a reward of $10 on your bill at the end of the season as well. And as I already mentioned, sometimes, like, when we survey our customers, it's not always about money. Sometimes it's just about changing your like evening, making it more, I don't know, different for us, for my family, with the 2 children. Like, we have chess tournaments with the dimmed lights, and kids actually enjoy, and they ask me, oh, did we win $3? And then I'll give them $3 for the participation. But on another hand, we have another path for the customers to participate, and it's if you're a little bit more savvy and you love technology, you can choose connected, which I'm gonna show you on the next slide. We have another option is connected. If you have devices as displayed on this slide, we have several categories: baseboard thermostats, we have EV level 2 chargers, we have water heaters and load controllers, and we have batteries. Then that can be also participating in the events. And it's based, the principle of this path would be set and forget. So whenever event happens, we adjust the temperature, or we pause, let's say, the charging of the EV during that event. You won't notice until you get your bonus, seasonal bonus at the end of the season. And as you can see on the screen, not only we have seasonal reward for this device types, we also have enrollment bonus. For example, if you have MISA thermostat on your wall right now, but you're not enrolled to PeakSaver, if you enroll today, you'll get $100 bonus just for enrolling, and you'll get it back applied to your bill as a credit. And then again, if you participate in the winter season, you'll get your $50 at the end of the season. And it depends on the device type, how much you'll get the enrollment bonus and how much you'll get the seasonal reward. Similar to behavioral path, again, it's a winter season, around 20 events per season with a 4-hour duration. And you might ask, by looking at the slide, why we have only that certain amount of vendors who are capable to participate. As you can see on thermostats, we have MISA and Sinope. On EV chargers level 2, we have ChargePoint, Wallbox, and Emporia. On water heaters and load controllers, it's Sinope and Rheem. And batteries, Iguana, Solar Edge, and Tesla. And the answer here is demand response is fairly new. It's fairly new for North America. In BC Hydro, we just finished our third season, and we are kind of like in the mid-mature area right now. But the market itself, it's still emerging. We have limited number of vendors due to the not only demand response being emerging area, but it's also vendors emerging, and they need to have certain protocols. They need to have certain protocols in order to be dispatchable during the events. And I want to reiterate, you're always in control. If you feel, let's say, uncomfortable during the event, uncomfortable meaning if you're cold and you don't want to be part of it, you can always opt out. It's not like mandatory. So you again, like, you're always in control. I want to also mention here, you can see on the slide on the right middle part, time of the day rate for the EV chargers, for EVs or owners of EVs. If you don't have a level 2 charger that is on that eligible for demand response connected, or you have level 1 charger, you can actually use our kind of passive behavioral path. That's how we call it, time of day rate. A lot of EV owners charge their vehicles during the night, where the surcharge is 5 cents less than during our peak time. And again, like, it's another way of saving money for you and reducing stress on our grid. I will pause here before I go, and I'm just going to take a peek on my notes if I missed anything. Yeah. If no questions, I'm happy to move on. And I'm going to show you this slide.
Oh,
That's, yeah.
Elena.
Oh, sure.
Sorry, before you continue, we don't
Yeah.
have any questions in the Q&A, but it looks like Bruce just raised his hand.
Sure.
If you'd like to let us know your question, Bruce.
Sorry, I just had stepped out there. How does the battery work? Is that feeding back into the grid at those events?
No, so for our batteries, we will pause the charging, but we have a threshold of 20% for the battery. So the customer will never be, without energy. If I don't know, something happens, they will always have a reserve of 20%. On the feeding back to the grid, if you have a solar and battery, you can feed back to the grid. Again, because of the time of day rate, if you only have a battery, we're not able to feed it back to the grid, because you can, charge your battery on time of day rate, but you can inject it back on the, let's say, highest rate. So it's kind of, we don't have a particular rate for the battery only, but if you have a solar and you generate the power, then you are able to inject it back to the grid once you complete interconnection application, solar and battery application.
But that's not part of the peak saver?
Not part of the peak saver. Yes, yeah.
Great, thank you.
No other questions?
Not for now. Feel free to continue.
Okay. I'm gonna move to next slide. So this is our winter season recap. So when we finish the season, our customer participants get the end of season email with the interesting facts of the season. And as you can see here, this season we had only 6 peak saver events. And it's really low. This is the lowest we had because we had pretty mild winter. And as much as I want to say it was a bit challenging for us on peak saver, because again, as we are maturing, we want to have more events to build our database and like have customers to participate and have a little bit of like more engagement in the program. The good thing, the grid didn't have a lot of stress. because again, winter wasn't that cold and we really didn't need it. So the coldest day of the season was February 19th. The easiest shift for the season during the peak event would be turning down your heat. And this is the one that I like, most underrated shift. It's having a candlelight dinner. And here I'd like to mention, we had a survey with our customers, and one of the customers was saying that it was great. Like, we love peak saver events because me and my wife like have the dinner with the candlelight, and it's a bit like it's about just us, without technology, without any distractions, and we actually can say words to each other and like I love you and things like this. So I found it's really nice, and again connecting, and it's more about people changing and having this interesting experiences versus just earning rewards. Top 3 energy shifting strategies. You can wear your extra layer while turning thermostat down. You can warm the home before the event starts, and you can prepare dinner ahead of time. On my experience, we had a morning event actually. One of the events was early morning. I don't remember. It was like 8 to 10, I think. And what I did in my household, I had heat up the water. I put it in a thermos. I made coffee earlier before the event starts, and I basically had it all the thermos lined up on the table. So we just have it ready, and we didn't use any electricity. And I was able to save more than 20%, like I think 48 or even close to 50 on that event. And then the day more of the Peak Saver participants reduced the target. It was over 70%, and we succeeded. It was on January 28, 2026. So it's kind of like a fun facts about the program. And next one, I want to kind of give you a number, how many actual participants we have right now. We have nearly 200,000 participants in Peak Saver. And with this number, we can we deliver 63 megawatts of capacity savings. So during the event, we can reduce the usage by 63 megawatts, which is great. And our objective to grow participation to 600,000 by 2035 to bring, I think it's around 250 megawatt savings with that number of participants. And you might ask, like, why we're doing it, why we need customers to be part of it. BC Hydro, as much as we build infrastructure and we have infrastructure that needs constant replacement and to keep the grid reliable, the demand response and energy efficiency programs it's easier and it's less expensive programs that will allow grid to stay reliable. And we're building different kind of tools in our toolbox with the demand rising. So whenever we have the grid constraints, we can use those tools, and demand response being one of those tools during those constrained times on the grid. So with this slide, I'm going to move to the next slide and show you Peak Saver participation by category, in which category we have our, like how many participants we have in each category. And you can see the scale of it. So as you can see here, we have 15, almost 16, like I will round it to 16,000 baseboard thermostats, hot water load controllers 400, EV chargers 1,600, batteries 200, and behavioral are bed and butter 170,000 participants. And like you can see here, and then as I was talking earlier, behavioral path, it's easy to join. It's no barrier. You can just join and be part of it. That's why we have, the volume in that category. It does bring lower capacity savings, but yet because we have volume, we have a significant chunk of capacity savings coming from the behavioral participants. The connected devices, it's the barrier to enroll higher because customer need to have a hardware first of all. They need to be willing to enroll, and also we have limitation, as you see in the previous slides, we have limitations on eligible devices. Therefore, we have a lower number on that in those categories. But it does bring us more reliable savings, and it does give us capacity savings, and it gives us higher savings per device or per household. Also important to note, at this time, you are able to be behavioral as well as connected participant. So I'm both connected and behavioral participant. I have baseboard thermostat that is connected to PeakSaver as well as I behavioral. And you might ask why. First of all, if I only have thermostat connected to PeakSaver, I have other devices that use electricity. So I can reduce with those devices as well through behavioral path. And my thermostat, I don't even touch it. I don't even notice when event happens. Again, like I just notice when the season ends and I get my reward. So that's kind of how it works. I will pause here for a minute, for a second, I guess. No, if there are no questions.
I have a question. So I have participated in your PeakSaver events, and the one thing that I and I find it beneficial. I have an electric car, and I have solar panels. Now I also have in small heat not induction heaters, but the heat pumps. Now, I don't know how I can participate in the peak rate, benefiting from the nighttime charging of my vehicle. I'm just not sure how to do that when I have the heat pumps and I don't have sort of a general thermostat in the house. And I would be interested in doing that, participating, but because the one time that I didn't do it, one of the member of the family plugged in the car by mistake. So that was so much for my event. And also, so I don't think that I can have a smart thermostat with my heat pumps. And you need that in order to take advantage of your peak rate, like using the power at night rather than during the day, right?
Well, with the heat pumps, it's a bit challenging. We were looking into it, and we were looking into putting the thermostats like with the heat pumps. The issue there, if we do reduce the heat pump temperature during the peak events, it takes a longer time to heat it, to bring the temperature up again for the heat pumps. And it might be very uncomfortable for the customers during the winter time. So we're not able to use the connected category here, right? But you can be behavioral participant, and you can just maybe reduce your use during, not to cook, not to use dishwasher during that event, and dishwasher and the laundry. So the drying and laundry is the highest use during, usually, like for me, if I don't use my dishwasher in laundry and dryer, I can reduce by 20%, 100%. It's on behavioral part, right? Yeah. So you can use that path. On EV chargers, you can benefit. So if you move to like time of day, let's say, and you charge it at night, you get benefits on paying 5 cents less. For us, on our side, we still claim capacity benefits. Like, I don't know, like for you, it doesn't really matter, but you will benefit for the lower rate. Also, we are currently working on a different offer for EV owners. So we're looking into behavioral EV demand response. So on top of behavioral path that we currently have, 20% reduction, $3 reward, we are looking into how can we encourage EV owners and maybe reward them even slightly higher, because EVs, as you know, they consume a lot of power during the charging, and we know that it gives, if we ask customers not to charge it during the peak event, it does bring us more capacity savings. That's like
So, yeah.
Mhm.
So how would I,
Yeah.
but right now I wouldn't, because I haven't sort of registered for that sort of a non-peak use, I'm not getting any benefit from charging at night, right? My car at night.
You will get benefit of 5 cents less. It
I
will be
even,
your time of day.
oh, even now without,
If you register for time of day rate, you have to check
oh,
your profile on My Hydro.
okay.
If you're like, it will be beneficial for you as a EV owner to charge it at night, because your the cost will be 5 cents less. If the only thing you need to remember, then, if you switch to time of day and you charge between, I believe it's 4 to 9, you can see it on it's 4 to 9, then you will be charged 5 cents more. So you'll need to make sure that you actually charge it at night, so you get benefit of time of day rate, and
Okay.
not charging during the peak time. And time of day, it's not only on the peak of, like, when the grid needs your help, like when the capacity kind of coming to the limit. It's every day, but for the time of day, and you need to remember to charge it during the night.
Yeah.
If you switch it to time of day rate.
Okay, so I would have to go and register with time of day for time of
Yeah.
day rate. Oh, I
Y-
see. I wasn't sure just how to do that.
Yeah. So I would say go and you have your online account, right, with Hydro.
Yes, I like my solar panels. The
Okay.
power goes both ways. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is also a calculator, I believe, online for time of day. You can put your usage and thing, like what you use, what equipment at home you have, like if you have EV, and they will give you kind of calculations how much you'll save. Um, and yeah, I would say just play with that tool and also see the options on My Hydro, what type of rates we have. But time of day is one of the most beneficial for the EV owners. And I recently was at the workshop where we were talking about, there was EV load forecast workshop. So a lot of EV, so from last year compared to last year, a lot of EV owners moved to overnight charging in BC, again, because of the time of day rate.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Elena, we
Yes.
just had someone
Sure.
add a comment to the Q&A just
Sure.
saying, even though I have an EV, I do
Mhm.
not believe the time of day rates would overall save me money. Would you
Okay.
be able to speak to that at all?
I think you have, yeah, and it happens sometimes, and I know some people who tried and came back to the tiered rate and other types of rate that we have possible. I guess you have to look at your overall household consumption and when you charge your EV. I don't have EV to be honest. Like I don't have EV, so, and I live in an apartment, so I'm not even able to, even if I get an EV, I won't be able to participate. But I've heard from some of the owners, EV owners, it doesn't make sense for them. So you have to kind of test and try which rate would make sense for you. That would be my answer. But I don't think I have more that I can comment here. I know a lot of people just test and try different rates and adjust it as per their household need.
That's great. Thanks, Elena.
I hope that kind of answer your question. If you have any more questions about that, maybe just connect with me and we'll see what can be done.
Perfect. I think that's it for questions for now.
Okay. I think I have one more, 2 slides, but the next slide I want to share, and I've been told I can share this. So I'm just going to stay here a little bit. So as you see, baseboard thermostats is 15,500. It's our top category in connected because in BC we have around slightly over 2 million residential accounts, and 41% of it they have baseboard heating, which comes to about 800,000 households, and with the biggest concentrations the Lower Mainland as well as Vancouver Island. So having said that, these are like biggest category, and our goal is to grow in that category. And we tried a lot of different ways. We 2 years ago, before my time with the program, we've tried instant rebates. Basically, customer buys thermostat with the discount. But unfortunately, we had a lot of, we call it free riders. People buy, program kind of provides some incentive at the moment of purchase, but we don't get enrollments to the program. So it didn't work for us from the cost effectiveness. Then we moved to the different model, as I was showing in one of the slides before. We moved to enrollment bonus. So when customer buys thermostat or any other connected devices, we would and enroll to PeakSaver, we will provide them enrollment bonus. For thermostats, it's $100. For hot water load controllers, $100. EV chargers, $250. Batteries, $500. And then it kind of worked. So we didn't have free riders, but we could not scale up with that approach. And our target for this year for the baseboard thermostats, we need to bring about another 15,000 households. Having said that, the company came with the next approach, and we're coming this fall with a baseboard thermostats giveaway. So basically, all the customers, when they purchase or go through the process, it wouldn't be purchased because the customer will be getting a free thermostat, and they will need to enroll to PeakSaver. At the end of the day, it will be free. For example, Quebec utility, they were doing it for a couple of years now, or 3 years, and it's been very successful for them. So just stay tuned. Around October 1st, it will be coming in the market. So if you are planning on purchasing thermostats, I would say just hold on for now and wait till October. So that one of the kind of announcements that I wanted to do. And then if you're not PeakSaver participant, you can join us. You can join the family of PeakSaver, and you can shift, save, and earn. If you have a phone right now, you can scan that code, and it brings you to the page of the program. And right now, you can actually sign up for behavioral, or if you have an eligible device, you can sign up for connected, and you'll get your enrollment bonus. And that is it from me. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you so much, Elena, for that presentation. We do have just over 10 minutes available for questions. So I urge people to either raise their hand or throw their questions in the Q&A. But we'll get started here with Laurel, who has their hand raised. Laurel, if you want to just unmute yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much, Elena. This is really interesting. I also live in an apartment, and you might have mentioned this, but I might have missed it. Is there a way to sort of prompt property managers to look into the baseboard thermostats come October?
Yeah, there's a lot of like we have different groups in the company who work. We have MERBs, multi-unit residential MERBs buildings. Here you go, and yes, and also we had a question around like developers, for example, why don't we put smart thermostats when we build? But there is a lot of regulations and there is a lot of work that needs to be done behind to make it like mandatory. So we are working on it. It's just it takes a long time to do that. And yes, apartments are one of the biggest markets for the thermostats, particularly because again in BC, in Lower Mainland and in Vancouver Island, a lot of people live in apartments, and we kind of divide into primary and secondary. So what we consider primary, and that's where we bring when we get the most capacity savings is like living room, right? That people use mostly in living room. Secondary, it's maybe bathroom or a bedroom. A lot of times people don't turn on their thermostats, so it wouldn't bring us as much capacity savings as we need during the event. But the way we calculate and the way we have a baseline for the household, it's based on 3 thermostats per household. And we know from our residential, it's called reuse residential. Oh my God, I don't remember abbreviation, but it's like a survey that's done 3 years. In BC, there are 5 on average like rooms or the thermostats can be installed per household, but we base our assumptions on 3. And yeah, we look in the apartments, we look at the houses, but again, it depends on the category. Thermostats has bigger possibilities, I would say, versus EV chargers, because EV chargers are mostly in houses, and there is a distinction between, of course, there is EV chargers in the apartment buildings. But if it's installed and it connects to 1 meter, like a strata meter, it wouldn't be considered as a residential. It will be considered as commercial. On the residential side, it needs to be, each customer has to have their own meter for us to know the consumption for that customer. So there's like a lot of layers behind, and we're looking at everything and possible. We're looking at the bundles, if you have thermostat and you have a water heater, for example, you can get, like, if you have a ream, let's say the water heater tank, and you have a thermostat, you enroll them both today, you'll get $100 enrollment bonus for each. And you will benefit from it at the end of the season, as I was saying. So yeah, there is a lot of possibilities, and we're looking at all the dwelling types all the time, and how we can get into those homes to benefit customers as well as benefit the grid.
Cool. Thank you.
Hope that answered your question.
Thanks, Laura. I know Bruce did have his hand up. Bruce, did you still have a question, or?
Sure. Sorry, I had to step away there. You may have answered this already. I'm just thinking about the central heat pumps with maybe resistance strips, or even the hybrid units might be low-hanging fruit. That's the first. My question is, are you going to include that? I kind of understand why you might not include like mini splits because of the difficulty. And the other is that I was surprised at the batteries, whether, like, I'm just wondering how much savings you would get from the batteries during a peak event, and if it's even worth it, and who's doing those batteries. Batteries are so rare that I was surprised.
Yes.
Even 200. I was surprised to see 200 there, and it's very surprising.
Well, this is a great question, and as you see the scale of the batteries compared to other categories, yeah, battery is really challenging for us market. First of all, in BC, we have I think we're number 2 in Canada for the rates. So we have pretty low rates. We have, again, reliable. We're pretty reliable on the energy supply. We don't have outages. Like, I live in the city. I don't remember ever having an outage. Also, battery limited to the houses only, or there's they must, now there are new rules how they must be installed. There's this, like, for the fire regulation, etc. So it's very difficult market. And yes, we have 200, and the way we got them, we had areas in BC called non-wire alternatives, meaning it's the areas, geographical areas where with the most constrained, and they're determined by our integrated planning by feeders. So basically, we know, let's say, I don't know, the area in Lower Mainland is non-wire alternative area, and we know, and there is a plan to upgrade the infrastructure, but it's deferred due to other priorities in the company. So we need to address that constraint with existing possible solutions. One of the solutions, it can be battery. So we did direct installs for those particular areas, and that's how we got, I think we have right now 150 batteries that came through direct install. We had application. We have a separate group that works on it, and basically, the most constrained areas were identified. We went to those homeowners. There was application process, and they were installed in those homes with 10-year persistence, like participation in Peak Saver, because its cost and installation was on BC Hydro. And that's how we got it 200. But it's a difficult, challenging market for us, for sure.
It sounds like they wouldn't get much savings at all unless you're feeding back into the grid in those events.
Yeah, we're still learning. Again, we've been only three winter seasons. We're still learning. It does bring us savings, but you're right, it doesn't bring us as much savings as we don't have volume, first of all, right, in that category, and the savings for now it's limited, but we are looking into different solutions. Like one of the solutions where we have a person on our team who works on trials and the pilots for V2G, vehicle to grid, or vehicle to X, to everything pretty much. So we're looking into batteries, like, like, I don't know if you heard, there was a project on the Lynch bus, the school buses. So we trialed the battery from the bus that can feed the houses. So that battery can feed for 2 hours, for 2 hours back to the houses for about 75 houses. So we're looking in that direction as well. But we'll see. Our goal is in around like F28. We're strategizing around that category, and we'll see where will come. Right now, our priority is thermostats and EVs.
And you aren't thinking of doing central heat pumps included in that, or central electrical?
Not at this moment. Not that I've heard.
Hey, thanks.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Thanks, Elena.
Okay.
And thanks for your question, Bruce. So we have about 4 minutes left, and we have 2 questions here. So hopefully we can get through them both. But Doug, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so Bruce asked about the batteries. Pretty much any electrical company, you can get them to purchase and install batteries for you. About 5 years ago, a 10 kilowatt battery installed would have cost me about $20,000. They've come down in price. I believe they'd be closer to $12,000 now. That's after the $5,000 rebate from BC Hydro. But you're not going to make money doing those. What we need to do, and BC Hydro is working on it, is we need bidirectional charging for electric vehicles. So if I got that power wall, I would have got a 10 kilowatt battery. Most electric vehicles range from 60 kilowatts to 200 kilowatt batteries. So if you use your EV battery, put the money towards a bigger battery EV instead of a power wall, and you'll be able to power your house for a week rather than a day.
Yeah, no, and thank you for the comment, for sure. And then again, like we're working on that person who works on V2X, he works also on Steve Kao. I don't know if you maybe heard about him. He works on also on bidirectional bidirectional EV charging and see how it can feed back to the grid. Again, it's very emerging area, demand response. There are a lot of things that we're trying and trying to see if it will benefit grid customer and how it can be cost effective. Our battery category is not priority for like a couple of years, but we have to have it to have customer choice.
Thanks, Elena. And in our last 2 minutes, hopefully it's not too big of a question, Sue, but let's have you finish this off.
Yeah, sure. It should be a quick question. I unfortunately don't live in an area where we have access to your lovely grants. I'm in a Fortis electric
Yes.
area. But my question is, did Hydro have to, was it difficult to get approval from the BC Utilities Commission? Like what step did you have to take to be able to run these programs?
So right now, so from BCUC for the time of day, it was approved. It has to go. All the rates has to go through BCUC. On Peak Saver and all energy efficiency programs that we introduce and we have the we start with the trial, then pilot, then we come, as I said, we're kind of like mid-mature program, and then we have to go through evaluation process, impact evaluation. For the Peak Saver, it's planned for this next year. And then after that, we'll have more picture, but it will go to BCUC with the recommendation for the evaluation group.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it works. Yeah.
So you're doing an internal evaluation first, and then you will take it to the Utilities Commission.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's impossible to go with them. We don't have any stats if we go with them right away, right? Like we need to actually have some evidence, what we've done, what we can bring to the, basically what the benefit we bring with that program.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries.
Amazing. Thank you both. And thank you for the Q&A. And thank you for everyone for raising their hand and asking questions with your voice rather through a chat. That's always really, really nice to see. Elena, if you wouldn't mind just going to the next slide.
Oh, yes.
Just a few words to close us out.
Give me a second. I'm lost here a little bit.
No worries.
How do I do? Oh, here.
There we go. Perfect. So we just want to share our gratitude for the generous contributions of our sponsors and partner organizations. It is thanks to these organizations that we are able to offer this webinar free to homeowners like yourselves. Next slide. And with that brings us to the end of this webinar and the end of our webinar series. So thank you to everyone for joining us over these 3 webinars. And again, if this is your first time here, we do have recordings of the first 2 that we'll send out in that follow-up email. Feedback is always appreciated as well, but I hope everyone enjoyed them and learned some things, and we hope to see you at future webinars. So thank you, Elena. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful rest of your Wednesday, and I'm sure we'll see you all again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.